to be on the blockchain. Today, we have a very dope guest. This one is going to be on both sides, on music, on finances, on inspiration, on empowerment, on business, on real estate. So we are definitely going beyond the blockchain with this one. I would like to welcome our guest, Terrence Harding, KLEPT.
Thanks for having me, my man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, there are certain things that certain people know and certain people don't know about you, and I'm an advocate of always being informed. So I always like to start off with the five W's: who, what, when, where, and why. So let's just start off with who are you?
Terrence Harding. Yeah, I'm a real estate agent in New York City, founder of Winning Hands NFT. I've been in real estate 18 years. Prior to that, I always get confused with saying was, because I say I was a member of Junior Mafia with Biggie, but I'm actually still a member because we still perform here and there at various shows. So, but as far as like the main focus, being a hip hop artist, that I do real estate now, and the Web3 space.
Okay, so let's back this up. When I say who are you, right? Coming, being born, raised, neighborhood, school, parents, background. That's what I mean. I want you to give me like the who. You feel me? Like I know you. Like we kick it all the time, but
Right,
you
right,
know.
right,
So like, where did it come from, Clep to Terrence? Like, where was your first like journey that as you look back at hindsight, like what was the first start of your journey to develop who you are today, from going into the business of music to
right.
inspiration, because you're an inspirational teacher, you got real estate agents under you, like let's like really like tap in. So let's back this up, like Brooklyn, Bronx, because you know I'm Harlemite, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
so let's go here, T.
Born and raised in Brooklyn. I was born, ironically, in Cumberland Hospital. So I kind of brag about being born in Cumberland Hospital in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, because that's the same hospital that Michael Jordan was born in. For history buffs and basketball, being that my Web3 company is all NBA related. So yes, I was born in the same hospital as Michael Jordan, and I grew up in Clinton Hill, born in that hospital, but was actually raised in Clinton Hill and Fulton and Clinton Avenue. Another ironic instance, about 2 blocks away from where Biggie lived, but we didn't know each other as youth.
Oh, okay. So what you started? Poetry? What was it? A class? Like what started the
Hip hop.
music journey? Because if it's is it good to say that if it wasn't for music you wouldn't be doing real estate? Is it good to say that?
If it wasn't for, yeah, I could say that because the music, departing or thinking I was departing from the music industry is what led me into real estate. But as far as to backtrack to your question about music, well, I'm old school, and but modern thought process. But my older brothers, they were into hip hop. My oldest brother. So I'm the last of 6. So I have 3 older brothers, 2 older sisters. So a lot of people don't know that.
Mm.
So my family's from West Indian descent. Like I'm the only American in my family. Like if you see the rest of my family, they're all West Indian. So it always blows people's minds. So I'm the last of 6. So my older brother, he was into hip hop. So he was DJing. I'm talking about when hip hop first hit, Sugar Hill Gang. So he had the turntable. So we'd be listening to I'm taking it back to Super Rhymes days. So people who know hip hop, they know Super Rhymes. So back in those days, we listened to things like that. So I always loved hip hop. So I grew up in a hip hop oriented environment. So that was always great. So I gravitated to it.
So the culture of hip hop, I'm glad you said that. is very diverse. You could have been in the dancing part, you could have been in the fashion, you could have
Right.
been in the art as far as graffiti, you could have been in the business part. What made you decide, even though you seen your brothers going through, what made you decide to go the direction that you decided? Like,
Yeah, I always loved it's funny you bring that up because I don't talk about this too. Like I used to draw a lot. I was a real great artist, but of course I stopped as I got older. But I was heavily into art a lot. I tried my stint at dancing hip hop, but not like as aggressively as other hip hop dancers dance. There's probably a one or two videos where a quick cameo of me doing like a quick dance move in a video, but we're not gonna get too deep into research and finding that. But it's out there somewhere in cyberspace. But I drew a lot. I was an avid artist. Like that was my thing. I'd go to the art supply stores and going. And then I remember my mother when I was young. She was a housekeeper and she worked for a gentleman, John Gundlefinger. So I remember the name. I was so young, but he was an artist, and she would show my artwork, and he would like get her supplies for me, and they'll send me supplies when I was real young, and had to be like maybe 6 years old, somewhere 6, 7, 8. So my mother's friends used to come by the house, and I used to draw them, and they used to laugh because the pictures that I would draw would look pretty much like them for my age. I was really into art a lot. And fast forward a little bit, I tried to get into art and design high school, but that didn't work because of my high school history. So that's a whole nother. But ended up going to graphic communications, graphic arts. So which is a great school. I love that school. Met a lot of great people there. So that's my history. But the hip hop thing, I've always been in that environment. And then when I moved to Flatbush when I was in fourth grade. So I moved from Clinton Hill and moved to Flatbush when I was in fourth grade, and was actually in fourth grade with special ed and Busta Rhymes. So
that's
we were,
dope.
yeah. We were in the same class. So ironically, so that was a good thing. So I know
So
that.
quick question, because the people don't really talk about this. So, Busta Rhymes and Special Ed was in your class, right?
Yeah.
Even though his name is Special Ed, was
Yeah.
he, was he one of the slow dudes? Like
No,
how?
no, he was on point. Like there was like we were young,
No, but
having
that's what I'm
fun.
saying. Like as young kids, and you go back to school, and no disrespect, I was just making a joke
No, I know.
to the reference of the Special Ed.
No, but I mean,
Or
special
let
ed,
me be
special
clear,
ed is
because hold on, cause I gotta be clear. I gotta be,
make sure
or the
you gotta
mentally,
make sure you don't offend
I
people. I get you.
yeah, I don't wanna offend anybody. You know what I'm saying, in that space that
Nah, but
But
it wasn't
no,
nothing.
hear me out. Just 1 second. What I wanted to say is that going back to like elementary, there are certain people that you became clits with, and even though y'all grew apart as growing older, like you see how people were as kids and growing up. Now being in the group with these gentlemen that actually went into the same space, was everybody creative during that time? Like how was the temperament of just the creativity, new hip hop, fashion, and all of that other stuff? And what we talking about, like the sixth or seventh grade or something like that?
Yeah, we talking about
Okay.
fifth grade. So that this is you're talking about fourth, fifth, sixth. So you're talking about Pumas, Suede Adidas days, shell toes. Like you're talking about that whole era. So everybody was doing their thing. Like everybody was fly. Ed was fly. Ed used to do a lot of graffiti too. Like he used to always draw the characters in the Pumas. I remember that back in the days. Buster was doing this thing. So everybody was cool. Like we were, and we all were. I won't say big troublemakers, but mischievous. That's the right word.
No,
Like
I'm
having
not.
fun.
I'm gonna take that back, because they put um they put a title on kids that when you identify where they're good at, right, where they excel at, they sometimes seem to be a problem, or they want to title as mischievous. Y'all are creative kids, like
Yeah.
y'all was into something. So if it was a time to where they gave you a puzzle or something for you to figure out to take your time, and then within 20 or 30 minutes you finish that puzzle, now you off on Mary's desk and y'all laughing and joking. You know, a lot of times parents and teachers, let me say teachers, don't understand kids, right? Because we come from that creative space. But I'm not gonna keep going into my rant about kids, but I want you to keep going about
No,
how.
I definitely get that. Like they do a blanket teaching style
Mhm.
for kids. So they take one model and feel they don't understand everybody has different personalities and different learning styles. Like I'm an advocate for exposing that as well. So, but as far as us, like me, I was the class clown. Like I'd get in trouble. Like that was my thing. Like I'd like making people laugh and saying different things and really getting on the teacher's nerves, but not in a more of a funny way. Like entertaining the class. So I got in trouble a lot for that when I was young.
So because I'm still trying to get to that transition where you was like, yo, the music. So was you DJing during that time? Was you
No,
rapping?
no, that time, no, just drawing 4-6. I would say realistically, the whole music thing would took form closer to, I want to say seventh ish grade, because after I moved over to Flatbush, I actually went over to Ocean Avenue, which is another part of Flatbush. They call it Prospect Park South now, or Prospect Leopard Gardens. It was Flatbush.
The
Yeah,
regentrification of
yeah,
Brooklyn, right?
it was Flatbush, so it sounds fancy now. But yeah, so I moved over there. So over there, I remember that's around. I remember the era because I remember Sleeping Bag Records and EP&D, and I think it was Mervin or Marvin Jordan. It was a gentleman because these were the times when you'd make demos. You'd make your demo tape, and you'd go, for people that know, you'd go to Funky Slice. There's a studio called Funky Slice downtown Brooklyn where there was a guy, Dr. Beat. So everybody was making demos, and you'd have and everything was on a floppy disk. Like you'd actually put everything on a floppy disk, so you'd be making demos. So I was on Ocean Avenue, and I would see a block away Fly Ty. I didn't know him, but his nephew Tariq lived, and that was my guy down a block. So we all knew Tariq, and Fly Ty come over. So I'll see like the limos, and I'll see Big Daddy Kane, Biz Markie, and the whole Juice crew pulling up. So this was around that era when they were super large with it. And then also, people don't know Master Ace, who I see to this day. That guy don't age. You know that he look like he probably aged about 10 years since back then, maybe 5. But he lived not too far. He was down Caton Avenue too. So we used to go to his house and rap, and I used to battle my guys Vic and Vern. So it was a lot. Like we were just young kids hoping to get on and trying to figure out the whole system while we're seeing everything evolve in rap. So I always had an interest in music, but then with that being said, I was tied into the streets, like doing things that I shouldn't be doing to make ends meet. So
No,
so I was
listen. What I would say, certain things don't need to be said, right? Because the
right,
environment that we grew up in during
right,
that time.
right,
So, what I feel like is a championship goal is there's some people have not made it through '89, didn't make it through 2000, didn't make it to 2005, or because they did not understand the dynamics of what you was doing at the time and what you need to do to survive. And evolution is something that is very important. Some people do not evolve, and they still stuck in 1989 to where people evolve and they become successful real estate agents and start companies and businesses and so on and such. But speaking of that, being outside and your outside connections and seeing the old school rappers. See, one thing people don't know, New York is big, but technically New York is very, very small. And relationships and who you know are very, very important. And within seeing that, your brothers was in music, you was rapping, you was connecting with certain things. At what point in time did you say, you know what, I think I want to take this serious, or you was just still trying to figure out juggling?
Yeah, no, I was trying to figure it out because even though I knew them, I didn't know the Juice Crew, but I would see them. But it was still exciting to be in those circles, if not in those circles, but be
In the area. I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Area, see it be in close proximity to it. So I'm like, oh wow, like look at this. So, but with me, like I said, I was so caught up in what I was doing in the street. Like I was having like a great time. Like I was doing my thing. So I was more enjoying that in the interim, buying cars, chilling out, like just really enjoying life and going through those motions. And then I'd go off and on. So that I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna start trying to rap. Like I'm gonna rap again, and then I'd stop. Then I'd go through this wave of just back doing what I gotta do. And then I'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna rap again. And then finally, at one point, this was the early 90s. The early 90s, I said, you know what? I'm a rap. I'm a rap again. And this was around the era when Nas and Wu-Tang and everybody was out doing their thing. And then I'd hear Biggie. This was around when Biggie was just had party and bullshit. So I'm hearing like this era, and I'm getting excited, and I'm getting a lot of money in the street. So I'm just chilling. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start back writing. So I started back writing again, and then I just happened to luck up and connect with Big, and then the rest is history.
So let's back it up a little bit. Where was the first place that you recorded your first song, and what was the name of it?
Good question. I know. Oh man, you talking about back in demo days. I go back to what I mentioned before. Funky Slice Studios made a lot of demos. This is when you were going downtown to the record store and buying breakbeat records and just sampling. And it wasn't a producer making a beat. You'd go there and buy the record. People know what I'm talking about. You go there, buy the record, and go to the studio and say, I want to loop that part. Just play that part over and over. And then you just rap, and then you'd have your bring your DJ, and the DJ just making scratches, and then you just take it from there and mix it. So I did a lot of those.
Do you remember, because nobody shouts out anybody behind the scenes, do you remember the engineer name?
Dr. Beat, I said it. Yeah, Dr. Beat. It was a little age. Everybody, I hope he's still around somewhere. like he's an icon. He's a legend. Like Dr. Beat was the guy in Funky Slice Studio. Like as part of hip hop, I know there's gonna be something with him, and that you just gave me an idea. There has to be something lingering about him.
So shout out to Ant Lava, but Ant Lava was saying that within the 50 years of hip hop, they only talked about the MCs. They never talked about people in the background, the marketing, the stylists, you know, the engineers. They never talked about some of the greats that, you know, had the ears on the decision to say, yo, that's a dope song and that's a dope hit that actually sustained itself for the last 15 or 20, or excuse me, the last 50 years of hip hop. You know, so
they talk about them, but they don't talk about a lot of them. That's what it is. Like they don't take it to a granular level. So I think that's it. But they talk about them, but they don't talk about. They probably talk about a handful, but or one hand.
So let's talk about Biggie. How did you end up connecting? How did that? Because I know, first of all, Brooklyn is small. Let's start with that. So people who don't know, like if you're in See, don't get me to start saying hoods and neighborhoods, right? But if you're in certain neighborhoods, people know you because your name rings or
Oh,
relationships or
yeah,
certain
yeah.
things. So, um, being outside and being a part, doing your own thing, how was that connection? How did that connection happen?
No, that connection, I tell people, as crazy as it sounds, actually it doesn't sound crazy. That was my real first experience with
Mm,
manifesting something, because I manifested my whole trajectory with being in Junior Mafia into existence. And I didn't know that's what it was going to be, but I tell the story and I retell it. So how it happened, it was of course the mid, approaching the mid '90s. So it was the Grammy night. It was the Grammy night. So I was watching the Grammys at home, and I was sick like a dog. Like I couldn't move. Like I had some sort of flu. Like I and it's gonna sound disgusting, but I blew my nose, and it looked like I crazy blew out like a piece of my brain. Like it was like a whole nother
oh,
story.
trust me,
So
that sounds like COVID early.
yeah. No, but it was something like I was sick. So when I'm sick, I don't like to smoke. Like I had this thing in my mind. I used to smoke a lot of weed. I don't smoke now anymore, but for ages. But I used to smoke weed all the time. So, but when I'm sick, I was like, yo, I'm not smoking because I feel like it gets me more sick. So I'm in the house and I'm watching the Grammys, and my boys, they like, yo, it's the Grammys after party, and I never went to a Grammys after party or anything like that. This was 1994. Yeah, 1994. So I'm in the house. I'm like, yo, nah, I'm sick. I'm chilling out. Y'all go, y'all go. So while I'm looking at the Grammys, I'm seeing all these hip hop artists and all these celebrities at the Grammys, and I'm like, yo, damn, this is crazy. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go. So I call my boys. I say, yo, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. So we all connect. So we said, okay, before we go, we're gonna go to St. John's and Nostrand to buy some weed. Back in those days, I tell people it wasn't like these spending $5,000 worth of weed, five two. $250 pop, 500. It wasn't that. You'd go buy dime bags and nickel bags when you were smoking. So we went to St. John's and Nostrand, and I bought like one or two dime bags a week. I'm like, you know what? I'm not smoking a lot. So we went to St. John's and Nostrand. We all drove to the tunnel. I just got a new vehicle. My boys had whips, and we drove out there. So when we get there, I'm like, yo, I'm smoking and this is the manifestation part. I said, look, I'm smoking this weed because I ain't smoking. No, I actually only bought one bag. I said, I bought this weed and I'm smoking this weed with the person that's gonna put me on in the rap game. I said, I'm smoking this. So they looking at me like, dude, like whatever. So we go in the club, and I swear to you, I'm sick like a dog. I was so sick that when I got in the club, I never been to the tunnel. It was at the Tunnel nightclub, the after party. I walked around, and I was of course amazed, like, damn, look at this. And then I'm seeing all sort of different rappers. I saw like people from the Wu. I saw a Brand Newbie, and I walked around, but I was so sick that I went and sat on the side of the bar, like, because the bar is a long stretch, like a loop, almost like a track loop. So I went and just sat down, and I'm like, damn, I want to rap to somebody. So now the night is progressing, and my boys are in there. They having fun. I don't know what they doing because I'm not moving with them because I'm that sick. So all throughout the night, they keep coming to me like, yo, give me your weed. Yo, we smoked all our weed. So every time they came to me, I'm like, yo, with the person that's putting me on. So they getting pissed. They getting pissed at me like, yo, this, look, he not giving us his weed. Every time we come to him, he telling us this BS that he gonna smoke it with the person that's putting them on. So yeah, I'm chilling, right? So now I'm chilling so long that the lights come on and the party's over. So now the party's over. I done sat the night out, ain't rapped to nobody, just sightseeing. So I start scrambling. So I'm like, yo, I tell people like, yo, I start freaking out. I'm ready to kick around to the bartender. So I'm looking around. I'm like, yo, damn, who the hell am I rapping? So I'm scrambling, trying to get around to see if anybody's is left in there because the place is starting to filter out. So I'm like, damn. So as I make a lap, not a lap, but as I go around the bar, because I was on the other side, so I had to go around to get to the exit side. As I'm going around and I look at the exit, I say, oh, shoot, there go Biggie Smalls, because that's what everybody called him back then.
Yeah.
So there goes Biggie Smalls. And I remember one of my guys, June, because I hung out, those times I used to hang out on Franklin Avenue a lot. Shout out to the Franklin Ave posse. So I was running on Franklin Avenue. That was my stomping ground. So I remember my guy June from Franklin, he was like, yo, Biggie trying to form a group, like he trying to, and there was like loose talk in the street that Biggie was in the process of trying to form a group. So now I see Biggie and I walk around and I step to him and I said something like, I said, yo, so when I see him, I said, yo, what up, Big? I said, yo, you know, my man June, I said, yo, my name is Klep. I'm the nicest nigga that ain't out. Straight in just like that. So it was funny because I tell people to this day, he looked at me like I'm DKing wide out, tag Hoya watch, like I'm dipped. So he looked at me, he stuck his hand out, he said, yo, I remember vividly, he stuck his hand, he's like, yo, I believe you. And in my mind, I'm like, you really believe me? Like he just randomly said, I believe you. So while that's happening, he was with his boys, and mind you, I ain't know none of them yet. So it was, God bless the dead, my guy Cheek Delvec, who just passed away the end of last year. He was with Cheek Delvec, Little C's, and the writer, the famous writer, Bones Malone. Mm-hmm. So I knew Bones by face. Like, we knew each other, we'd interacted with each other in the past. And Bones writes about this actual instance, like he's written in it. Like if you go to this page, he written it and talked about it. So Big's with them. So now, after I say that to Big, he looks over to them and say, yo, we're gonna go get something to eat, yo, let's get a taxi. So I hear him say that, right? So I said, yo, y'all trying to go somewhere? I said, yo, I got a car, I could take y'all. So he looked, oh, shoot. He's like, yo, you got a car? I said, yeah, I'll take y'all. He's like, all right. So I said, boom, I know what I'm gonna do now. So now, little did they know that I literally just probably like maybe less than 2 weeks bought a brand new Q45. I'm talking about, this is when Wu-Tang had Cash Rules Everything Around Me video, and you see them driving in the white Q45. So it was like the talk of the streets. Like back then, that was like a Bentley. Like, nowhere next to the price, but you just, back in them days, the car game was different. It wasn't as like over the top like now, but it was still live. It was a dope vehicle. Like I said, equivalent to a Bentley back then. So now I'm like, yo, I got a car, but I ain't tell them what I'm going to get. I say, yo, I'm gonna go get the car. I'll meet y'all in front. So I go to the car now. So now we're in front of the tunnel. So now traffic is slow. So I get in the car. I ain't had no tints, fishbowl. So back then, you know, it was tapes, cassette tapes. So I pop a tape in, you know, roll the window down, music blasting. So I roll the window down and I'm driving slow up the block, music blasting. My Q45 had dipped rims, like shiny dipped rims, like it was crazy, jet black. So now I pull up slow. Because traffic, like I said, is slow. So I pull up. So all I know is when Biggie, Steve, and all of them saw what I was driving, their eyes just looked like, oh. They all look like, oh, that's what he in. So I pull up and Biggie gets in the front seat. Yo, this here, like, yeah, that's always like, you get in the front seat, Bones and them get in the back, Cheek the back seats, they get in the back. So he like, yo, we're gonna go to Chelsea Diner. And I love Chelsea Diner because it was such a historical part, and I'm glad it's still open. So the wings and fries are good, by the way. It's late night. But so Biggie gets in the front. I'm gonna say Biggie Smalls for the timeline. Biggie Smalls gets in the front seat. So people are still coming out the club. So we posted up in the front, park right on the street, and the entrance is right here, and people still coming out. So Biggie chilling out in the front, we kicking it, and now all of a sudden, all my boys come out the club. So now they come out. So they look and see me. They like, oh shoot, this dude got Biggie Smalls in his front seat. So now they looking and they like, damn, he pulled it off. Yo, how the hell he did that? So I told them all night. I said, yo, I'm smoking this weed with the person that's putting me on. They look at me like I'm crazy, and I got my now 16-year-old son. I told him, yo, anything is possible. Like, so it kind of led into my future of anything that I want to do. I just straight hop to it and do it. Like, it's possible once you execute on it. So long story short, Biggs in the car. So the Biggie Smalls is in the car. So he's like, yo, let's go to Chelsea Diner. So now we go to Chelsea Diner, we eat, gets food for all of us. We eating, and we get back in my vehicle. And so I remember I rolled up the weed, like I said, same bag of weed, rolled it up, and I put in the cassette tape. I put in Souls of Mischief, Never No More. And because I like that beat back then, so I put in Souls of Mischief, Never No More, and I put in the tape, and I rapped every lyric that I had over another rap group song while they were rapping. I rapped because I ain't had no instrumentals. Like, I ain't had no instrumentals on tapes. I was trying to get on. I just said, so I just boom. And that's how I used to write. I used to write over other people's songs. Just I tune them out and just write over it. So I rap everything I had, rapping about DKNY, Versace, like all of that stuff. Like, I brought that to the table. Like, but before I stepped in with that, it was all about Carl Kanai. They were on that Carl Kanai tip. So I was the dude, because that's what I was getting at in the streets. Like, everybody knows the stories all over. But when I rap all of that stuff to him, after he like, yo, that's dope. And back in those times, everybody had to burn a flip phone. So he's like, yo, hit me up, take my number. So now I just happen to luck up. That's around the time when Puff got dropped from Uptown, and he was starting Bad Boy with Biggie, and Biggie was just now building up. So he wasn't moving around and have a vehicle. So luckily I had one of the illest vehicles in the streets. And then I was one of the oldest members of Junior Mafia. So I could move around and get in the club. So me and Big formed a relationship of just hanging out. So we would go all through the city, just terrorizing shit, bagging shorties. Like we was all over the place. Go pick up Nas. We go pick up Nas in Queensbridge. He'll jump in the whip. We go check Tupac. Like, it was like me and him, we was just moving, and I'm bringing him to Franklin Avenue. So everybody bugging out like, yo, KLEPT just came up with Biggie Smalls. Yo, yeah, Biggie Smalls and Flatbush show this. So me and him, we was just moving around like crazy. So, and another thing about it is, like, I was real heavy in the street life, and I like how everything played out, but it could have played out different, because when Big first went on tour, he wanted me to come on tour with him, like, because we were like, we formed a bond. So he wanted me to come on tour with him, but I couldn't come on tour because I was busy doing what I was doing, and I was self-sufficient. Like, I was the type of person that I fended for myself and took care of myself. And it was even to the point where I tell people, he wanted us to get an apartment together back then. But back then, he had just pulled me into his crew of people, and I used to see it, and I wasn't moving the way that was moving. So I was like, yeah, I don't really want to get a house or rent an apartment with him just to have a bunch of dudes staying there like 24/7, because I'm making my own moves. So So that's why that didn't pan out. I opted to not go that route and stick to what I was doing. But it could have been a situation, it could have been a whole different trajectory if I just dropped everything and just said, you know what, I'm just gonna be up under you. But then I'm gonna be real with you, I'm not the type of, like, I'm not the doja type. So that wouldn't have fit my personality as well. So that was another thing, because like I said, I was always doing my own thing. But we did form a great relationship, and then he we just started building out Junior Mafia. He had the idea. Like, I came in like at the end. He already knew Kim, of course he knew C's and Cheek, Nino Brown, and everybody else in the group, the Snakes, Antoine, who's lost in the Big City Bang, shout out to Bang, and Trife, Trigger Trife. So he already knew all of them. So I came in last, and that was another thing back then, being the person that wasn't part of the group. They were all looking at me like, who this outsider dude? That big, just, I mean, it's funny because, like I said, those are all my, telling that they're all my brothers now. But the reality is, when you young, I mean, that's just the mentality you have. Like, who this young? So there was that whole period of like, who this dude? Big rolling with him, and then connecting with him. Then Un used to be like, yo, Big, you only moving around with Clep, because he knew I was moving different. Like, I was moving different. He saw I was, like, I still move different to this day. So and he liked that. So that's where we kind of, I tell people we were mutual mentors to each other. Like, I was showing him lifestyle and fashion and things like that, and he was making me fine tune my rap skills and getting hype, and just so, and that's what we did, and we had a lot of similarities to each other. So that there was always that. But then, like I said, I was stuck in getting money and having fun and doing whatever I felt I had to do at the time.
So, what was the click? Because even though he was forming the business in the group, but what was the business part of it? Because we always talk about the highlights, meeting people, going, but what was, like, how was the business set up? Like, how was y'all getting paid? Like, the first show, like, how?
No, it was crazy because it was different. Back then, I tell people, back then everybody was getting shafted by different labels. So we ain't see no major bread. Like, it wasn't as structured as back then. But the way that the group was originally supposed to be structured, it was me as a solo artist, Kim as a solo artist, C's was part of the Sixes. You had the Snakes, which was Big City Bang and Trife, and then you had the Sixes, which was Nino Brown, Red, who's Capone, Bugsy, and yeah. So that they were no, actually they were the Sixes with C's. But what happened with me, and I'm glad you brought that up with me, is I didn't want to sign the contract. Like, I wasn't no fool. Like, when I saw the contract that was presented to me, I was like, yo, I'm not signing this contract. Like the rest of Junior Mafia, they talk about it, they laugh about it now, because I was the one that ain't want to sign the contract. They gave me the contract. I'm like, yo, no, I ain't signing this. So now, under them, who was Big's partner, he was getting mad because I was holding up the whole deal. Because I'm on the demos, I was killing the demos. Like, I was like spazzing. So they were like, yo, Clep ain't signing. I'm like, yo, nah, I ain't signing this. So now, I never forget, and Nino, we laugh about it, but Nino bragging, yo, Clep, yo, you holding us up. You stopping us from getting money, yo, blah, blah, blah. So everybody mad at me, and bad enough, I'm the outsider already, but I'm just spazzing, I'm nice. So I'm slowing up the whole deal. So now they getting mad, like, yo, Clep, yo, come on. So I said, you know what? And with my what's the word I'm looking for? My lack of knowledge of the industry made me think like, okay, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. Since they want to do it, I'm gonna just get on and I'm gonna rap my ass off, and then I'm out. Since they want to give us a message, I'm gonna just rap my ass off. So now, that's what I did. That's why I still get a lot of credibility from that album. I got on the album, rapped my ass off, but then got shafted because then under them was like, oh yeah, this the motherfucker that he wasn't trying to sign. We ain't gonna push him.
Mm,
So it came back to bite me.
mm.
So yeah, and I didn't have full understanding of the business back then because we were all young. So but then it came back to bite me.
So
Yeah.
quick, so quick question: all the publishing and all of that for the record, all the
Yeah,
stuff
it
you
was
wrote.
all we like I said, everybody had screwed up contracts back
Mm.
then. Nobody wasn't really on point with that. You look at Snoop. Snoop talking about he wrote a lot of the Chronic, wrote this, wrote that, and he didn't get paid. And that stuff he talking about in the past 12 months. He
Mm.
bringing all of that stuff up. So everybody, and I can't really say everybody, but a lot of artists, they were getting shafted. And they talk people still getting shafted with streaming.
Hmm.
So and that was the thing with me. One of the reasons why I drifted away from music because I'm like, yo, I like money. Like I love music. Don't get it twisted. I love music, but guess what? Show me the money. Where the money at? Like I got in this. Of course, I love it, but I want. But then it's crazy because a lot of people were. I was so used to getting money and chilling that I believed a lot that I saw on in different videos, but you didn't know that this was stuff that the label did to present to people and make it look that way.
So what I want to bring up, I want to catch us up to the future,
Right,
of
right.
where music is at, where the business is at, and you being from the old school till now. What kind of advice do you have for new artists or independent artists coming in this space that wants to set a mark?
I would say embrace the trajectory. Like that's something that a lot of people don't do. Like they don't want to front load the learning aspect of what's happening. You have to know, like me, even being in real estate, you got to know the direction the business is going.
Mhm.
Like you don't want to just get stuck and get comfortable in one set trend. You want to try to forecast while you still want to make adjustments when necessary, but you have to be in it to understand what's happening in real time. Have a real time approach to the music business. Like look at stuff like even with Web3 and music, like a lot of people were trying to get into it, and of course, it's gonna. We both know it's gonna go into astronomical directions, but a lot of people don't want to front load the learning aspect and taking the time to understand it. Like I tell people, you can't judge something without fully understanding it because then what are you judging? Like, how are you going to judge something and you don't even understand what you're judging, but you're just like, nah, I'm not messing that because, yeah, but you don't understand what you're judging. So, but it's unfortunate a lot of artists, and it just goes back to the same way, and I'm guilty of it now that you're making me really recollect. I'm guilty of it because I didn't take the time to understand the music business back then.
Hmm.
So it's the same thing happening in the modern day with artists. They're not taking the time. So if I knew what I knew now, like everybody says, I would have took the time to understand it. But that's what people need to do with the current time. So at least you can have different a pizza pie of your business and how you're structuring your music business. You might have a portion of it. You gain knowledge of Web3, then you gain knowledge of the streaming route, so that you know which works, and then maybe you can do different variations of it. But definitely front load the learning and understand what's happening before you shut things down.
So quick question: if
Yeah.
you was to do it again, and they gave you those contracts, how would you have finessed it this time? And you know what you know.
Right now, damn, if I knew what I knew now. But see, I don't know. It's tricky. Like, so backtrack. So you asking if they gave that to me now or back then, and I knew what I knew now?
Back then, and you knew what you knew now.
Oh, I wouldn't have signed it. Oh, no, I would. I
Still,
would
you
have
still,
went.
you
I
still
would
would
have
be
went
the,
straight, straight independent. I would have went straight independent. I would have studied and learned how everything works. I would have did something along the lines of Master P, because there's a video that's floating around about with Master P and when he spoke and learned about the type of deal that he had to get. I would have definitely learned. But then it's tricky because back then it would have cost, but back then information is not as accessible as it is now. Like right now, information is more accessible for people. So that's another advantage that people have. Like somebody can go on chat, and somebody may end up doing this. Somebody can go on chat GPT and ask, what are all the in-depth steps that I need to take to create a successful record label, which I may just do for the fun of it. Not that I want to do that right now, but you go in there and do that and just keep asking, no, I need more info. Can you get more detailed? Like, and then you'll get everything. Like it's all out there. Like we didn't have that back then.
Yeah, so because we've been going a little while, and you are very, very interesting. But I want to speed this up. So you left, you got the contract, the album came out. They decided not to push you because you didn't sign.
I fell back. I stayed in the streets, was eating. Then oh, that's a great question too. I was eating. Some people know in Europe, so I started because I started a independent record label called Mac Ass Entertainment. So I had artists. I did a lot of stuff with China White, who was on BIBI. She was originally supposed to sign with me, but then ended up going with Little John and the East Side Boys. And shout out to Little John. But she was a real rugged New Orleans, and this was around the time when New Orleans was popping, when Cash Money was out, and she was a beast on the mic. But then she ended up going with Little John, and they kind of made her more like their style of music, and the BIBA was a hit, but I felt like she was like so lyrically talented. Like she could have been one of the dopest ever hip hop females. Like she was just so ill, because she was like, imagine she would have been like the Nicki Minaj. Like if she was on Cash Money, she would have. I mean, Cash Money. No, yeah. Well, Nicki Minaj was with Cash Money, but the original Cash Money clique back then. Like I'm talking about Lil Wayne, BG, Turk, and all of them. Like if she was with them, she would have been like Nicki Minaj, but she was ill, straight from New Orleans. So I did a lot of songs with her, and then I traveled to Europe. Like I was in Sweden a lot. And I worked with a lot of the Swedish producers, because a lot of people back then, people weren't really traveling to Europe like that, so they didn't know the reach of hip hop. So I was blown away when I went to Europe, and I was still younger than, and I went to Europe, and I'm like, yo, they out here rocking the hip hop like they in Brooklyn, and you seeing people of different nationalities, and they acting like they in. I was like, yo, that's how far we reached. So it was dope. And then I was working with a lot of the top Swedish producers out there. And then they also had, which I didn't know, they had a European version of MTV. It was really MTV, Euro MTV. Like everything that we had out here, they had out there. So it was like Bizarro. It was like that Superman alternate universe type of thing. I was out there like, oh, shoot, this is what's happening. So, but I was out there having a ball, having beautiful women, and like, oh man, I almost moved out there. So I was out there doing my thing. So I did that. So people don't know I had that whole European connection with the music business. So I did that for a while, and then came back. And then I bought a studio. I had my own studio. I lived in Canarsie, so I had a full-on studio. So mind you, this time I wasn't really messing with Junior Mafia. So this is after Biggie passed away a long time ago, and then this was around the time when Kim had seeds in them. They were all living at her house, and then they had the falling out for the Hot 97 thing. So after that, I reconnected with, it was Seeds and Banger. So I saw Larceny. So I reconnected with them, and they loved the fact that I had a full-on studio in my house. So they said, you know what, let's try to do another album. So that's when we did the Riot Music album. So that was around 05-ish, '05. So we did a majority of that album. We did the demos of that in my house. Yeah, because I had a 3-bedroom apartment where one room I lived by myself. I turned one room into a studio. So we did that album. We demoed it out, and then we connected with some Russian, I'm just gonna say some Russian guys with a lot of money, and they had Mega Media Music, and they gave us some upfront money to put it out independently. And then I helped structure the contract where, because I was the one that was in there like beefing with them and making sure the contract is structured correctly and doing
Wasn't going
things.
through that shit again.
Yeah. So I did all of this to structure it, and then what happened was and he says no, but they said back then that, long story short, they were supposed to put the album out by a certain time, and I said, look, I had it structured in a contract where if y'all don't do what y'all say, we walk with everything. So, and he's saying no, but I'd say yes from back then. But do I 100% know now? Now I'm like, okay, was it really that? But I think it was, but it still led me to this. But back then, they said that they promised C's something like, yo, we'll give you this, and just say it was your fault that the album was late, and then C's agreed to it. So from that, I stopped messing with them. I said, and that was that 05, 06. So from that, I said, you know what? These dudes, I can't mess with these dudes. They ain't trying to get no money. And I left. So that's when I said, you know what? I'm not dealing with the music business. And I could have been, I tell people I could have been a sanitation worker, postal, I could have been anything. I didn't know what I was going to be, but I just happened to be walking, and I joke, and they said, how you got into real estate? I said, well, I saw a sign. And they're like, what kind of sign did you see? Like, was it epiphany? Like, I was like, no, I really saw a sign. Like, I looked up on the building, and there was a big sign that said, get your real estate license in 1 week for $200. So I said, damn, I should try to get into real estate. So I ended up taking the real estate class, because that's where the sign was. It was an express real estate school where you get your license. So I ended up taking that, and then
Hold on. How many times you took the test?
Oh man, we ain't gonna get into that.
The only reason why I say that is because I took it 3 times and passed it on the 4th.
Nah. Okay. Full disclosure, I failed it twice before I passed it, but I got a good excuse. This is what I did. So I took the class, but mind you, I was still in the streets. I was still, all those times I was still doing whatever I had to do. Like, I didn't have a 9 to 5. Like, real estate is my first ever real long-term job. And I work for myself doing it now all the time, because you're an independent contractor. But so I took the class, and then I was still in the streets, and I thought that, I'll take the test next month. Or like, sweet, yo, by the time the test came around, I done forgot everything. It looked like Chinese arithmetic. I'm looking at stuff like, I studied this, like, yo, this, like, so I did the same thing again. And I'm like, yo, damn. And then, full disclosure, the streets started getting hot. It was like, yo, I gotta pass this daggone test. So then I ended up getting, like, there was some website where they do license exam. It was License Exam Tutor. Shout out to them. I don't know if they're still around. But I signed up for that, and then I set it up right. I said, you know what? As soon as I'm finished this, I'm setting it up so I take the test fresh off of the class, the tutoring. So I did that, and then I actually went all the way, back then it was all the way. I went all the way to Flushing, Queens, and that was from Canarsie. So I went all the way to Flushing, Queens to try to get the test, because they had the earliest test date, and then I passed, and then the rest was history. Yeah.
So okay. So the hard cost team.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, a hard cost team, like right now, like I've trained a lot of agents. I've had agents under me, but right now, how I have it structured is me and assistants. So my assistants, I've learned the art of delegating
Hmm.
now. So
Oh, wait,
all
stop. That is an important topic when it comes to business.
right,
Let's just talk about just that in general,
yeah,
because you're moving from a music business to where you are the one that's in charge of shows and getting to the studio producers and all that, and now you're in a place to where you kind of playing you're playing Monopoly
right,
and you're moving people.
right,
And the most successful people that I've ever seen was the people who was able to understand delegating and to be able to relinquish it to somebody who can actually complete the task.
right.
So delegating to people and making sure you vet the right people. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, to be straightforward, I want to say my delegation skills became somewhat impeccable, probably four or so within 4 years ago. Like, and I've been in the business in real estate 18 years now, going on 18 since 2000, 2006. So it wasn't like that before. So everything that you said, I had to go through the pitfalls and the learning curves and dealing with people that, because I'm a go getter. Like and the same thing with real estate. I wanted to be in the top firms, and I wanted to break into the luxury sectors of Manhattan where they didn't have African American agents. Like when I first started, they were trying to pigeonhole and push a lot of the black agents, and this is when Harlem wasn't as desirable to Harlem and East New York and all of the real African American neighborhoods. And I'm like, nah, I want to be where the money at. I want to be in Soho. I want to be in Tribeca. And that's why I started my career. And I've always been in Manhattan. I started my career in Soho and made Soho my stomping grounds while I still sell properties in Central Park West, Tribeca, all over the place, Upper West Side, which is Central Park West, but still Upper West Side, Brooklyn and Park Slope, Brooklyn Heights, Cobble Hill. So I've always wanted to be where I felt like the money was at and where they originally didn't want African Americans, or there weren't a lot. I would say didn't want, but there weren't a lot of African American agents. Where to this day, there's not at least, and like I said, I've been in the business 18 years. There's not at least somewhere within 12 to 18 months that I don't get an agent that's African American reach out to me asking me how did I break into that sector. Yeah, like because that's how it's such a small group. Like it's predominantly Caucasian agents and people outside of African Americans that are in the top luxury luxury sector. So I always wanted to, and it goes back to meeting big and feeling like anything that I want to do, I can do it, even if and I'm willing to put in the work and take the time and go for it.
so the discipline of being outside, the discipline of your parents instilling, um, brought you to this point right here in life. Um, as far as establishing your daily life and your lifestyle, because coming from a rapper lifestyle, right? And sometimes it's glorious because it shows all the stuff in the videos, and
Right.
then it gives you a misconception to when the videos and stuff end and you go home, you kind of like in the room, but
Yeah. A lot of people, like I said, they got shafted because they don't talk about the actual dynamics of the business side. It's all just about the show side. Like it happens with everybody. Like you look at even athletes, like all over. Like it's just the way certain things are structured. You don't really see. You get like the small piece of it, but the other people get the next higher level. And
hold
yeah,
up,
so that
hold up, because I wanted to get to my point. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no no
Um,
no
some people don't land softly, you know,
Right.
looking at the 50 years of hip hop and looking at some of the artists that was given the opportunity, that took the opportunity to get up on some of these stages, and how they looked like they just let it all take them. Like it looked like it let life take them, right?
Right.
Um, you had a soft landing because now you put yourself in a different industry that you can propel, because you can propel and exceed far beyond anybody can possibly think within the rap or the music business. Um,
That's a blessing. Like it's a blessing. And sorry to jump in, but it's a blessing because I look at that because the thing with the rap world, music industry, rap world is a lot of artists, they feel that they're shackled to it. They're shackled to it because there's an ego thing where they feel like, oh, I was this rapper, and if somebody sees me doing something else, I'm gonna be frowned upon. I signed a horrible contract. I didn't make any money. I've made millions of dollars, like live on my son's life, my son's head. I've made millions of dollars in real estate because I wanted to delve in and I decided to take a risk and go in another direction. But you have these people, they worried about, and this is, I'll bring up another thing that I've been seeing more recently, but they worried about how other people look at them, and because they had this stature, and I don't want to, I got to stay fixed to the block because that's how it's going to be. But at the end of the day, you're not living your life. Like, you really want more. You're living the other person's life, meaning you're living a life that you're living your life to make them happy. People that probably don't really shouldn't have that much of an impact. You have to live your life on your terms.
mhm.
Like, if you know, and I've learned that recently, like you have to live. So right now I live my life on my terms. I don't really care like what somebody feels or somebody feels, because guess what? I'm not living your life. Like, so unless you what you saying kind of plays into my trajectory, it don't matter to me. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not, and I learned that late. That's something that a lot of people need to pick up on. Stop living other people's lives. Stop worrying about doing things because of how it's gonna look to this person. Who cares how it's gonna look? Worry about what if it's gonna, within reason and within the realms of not being a idiot. As long as it's something productive, worry about what you're doing for yourself.
So within that, my partner Yuri always says he has a question that I always use: a book that has changed your life, and a book that you're currently reading right now.
Mm, a I do, and I'm a little behind like the last year, but I usually do like around 45 books on Audible. I ain't doing 3,000
You're
like
doing
Cat.
you're doing a 3,000 cap.
I ain't doing a Cat Williams 3,000, but I know, but seriously, like no, real talk. Like, I do Audible books, like even when I'm moving around, because I'm driving a lot. I'm driving. When I'm doing stuff in the house or organizing stuff, like I do. I love Audible. Like Audible, I always get credit. So I go through one book that impacted me, and I actually met him and we became really cool, was The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield did Chicken Soup for the Soul, and shout out to Romeo Marquez. Romeo Marquez, that's my guy, because when I read The Success Principles, and this was way back when I started, yeah, in my early days of real estate, I ended up going to a Jack Canfield 3-day retreat in Scottsdale, Arizona. So, and that's something I suggest to people too. I want to do another retreat, like this self-development retreats. Like, you need that. Like, you have a lot of these high-level CEOs, they go to these different retreats to hunker down and fine-tune what they got to do. So I went to the Jack Canfield retreat and met him. Like, I think I mentioned already, he did the Chicken Soup for the Soul. And then I met my guy, Romeo Marquez, who's a motivational speaker. And you meet like great like-minded people who wanna achieve. a lot in life. So from that book, Success Principles, it opened a lot up. And then I originally delved into the world of self-development and learning that I could be better in studying how the brain works, from doing the Tony Robbins program. And that was in 2000, early 2000. So I did that. That opened my eyes. And what it really opened my eyes to is neurology, because I tell people this. I said, look, neurology is really the study of the brain, like people know. So neurology is the study of the brain, but so many people, they don't want to study how the brain works, but the brain is the thing that controls everything that you do. Me moving my hand, my brain is sending the signal to make my hand move, to formulate the words in the sentences. The brain is controlling that. So why not study how the brain works so you know what to do, so it doesn't take you under. So that's something that really fascinated me, like studying the brain, and that's something I suggest too.
One thing that you said that we didn't really identify was self-development.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I could go on and on. Like I got.
Yeah. See, we really don't talk about it. We don't talk about updating. We don't talk about, and I always say this all the time. We update our phones every year, right? There's always a new update, the phone, the computer. Why are you not updating yourself? You update yourself by self-development. Do you meditate?
Yeah, I meditated before this.
So what meditation into your world?
What'd you say?
What brought meditation into your world? Because coming from where we come from, like we said, we come from the rap world and all of this stuff, all of this. You are now displaying a totally different individual. You're talking about self-help.
Right? It's so crazy. And I go back to C's. He used to laugh because I stumbled into that world, like I said, early 2000s. So all of this stuff and positive and motivational stuff that people are putting out there, like I've been on it, and I'm glad that a lot of people embrace it, but they used to laugh at me. Like I used to be telling them about certain foods to eat. I mean, Steve, he'll laugh, and he went through his whole health thing too, which was dope. But he would be like, "Yo, Clap talking about brain food." I used to be like, "Nah, you got to eat almonds. You got to eat salmon for the omega-3s. You got to do this. You got to eat a lot of greens. You can alkalize you." And I'm talking about this in the early 2000s, and they like, "Man, shut up, man. So you talking about brain food and this and that." So back then, I got into meditation. Like I meditated to the point where I've seen like astronomical things happen, like to the point where I've gotten to the point which I want to get back to, where I've sat down and meditated and closed my eyes, and it felt like my eyes were closed for about 4 minutes, but then an hour passed. Like you get that deep into a trance from meditation. So I've always been an advocate of it, and I'm doing it more. And I go through, and that's another thing with stuff like that. Some people can go all the way through. Sometimes I backpedal, but then I pedal forward fast. I catch myself. So now I'm in my meditation zone back towards the end of the year. But I usually go for nice long stretches of meditating every day, and then journaling. Journaling, I got enlightened to. I've been journaling for well over. My son is 16 before my son is born, so well over 15 plus years. Like I've been heavily into the whole world of self-development because I've seen advantages. And then another thing I learned with self-development, it's exactly what it's called. It's called self-development. It's not for everybody. The person themselves has to want to develop. So I don't try to push I don't try to force things on people. I toss it out there. I mean, when I first started, I'd be like, because I was so excited by it. Like when I did Tony, I was like, yo, you got to do this, yo, yeah. And then people looking at me like, damn, this dude crazy. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, he crazy. So now I realize, like I said, self-development is exactly what it's called, self-development. The person himself has to want to develop. So, and then it's the natural ebb and flow of it. And then I have Harding Enterprises. So I have a couple of things under my belt. I have Harding Enterprises, which people can look up It's on YouTube. You see some of my motivational videos, which I started doing in the pandemic. Like the pandemic, I was bored in the house, and I said, you know what? I want to start doing motivational videos. So I hired a group of editors, and I started sending them my vocals, and they started building sick visuals around my vocals because I talk. Like, and people are like, oh, how long it takes you to write it? Nah, I don't write it. I just talk and think of a topic, and I talk about it, and I keep it short, like 3 minutes. Some of them rarely go to 4 minutes, but I'm like, yo, nobody want to sit there and listen.
I get it.
Like,
The
oh,
one you did for the new year, top of the year, that was definitely motivational.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we killing time right now, because we already an hour in. But I just want you to talk about winning hands, and then
Oh
we wrap up.
yeah. Win it, man. That's gonna take a whole nother hour, but I'll try.
No, but we got a second part to
I,
that.
no, I try to speed talk through it like a disclaimer on a medicine a medicine commercial on TV, like the disclaimer in the end, known to cause side effects, blah, 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 blah. So I'll speed through it like that. Nah, but in all seriousness, no, Winning Hands NFT is a project that came about through my son when he was then 14. My son, he's an avid basketball player. He's been into basketball since he was 6. No, really, like honest, like I posted something really like 3, 4. So I was never a sports guy. So I've just been pretty much supporting his trajectory in sports. So long story short, he's met almost every icon in the NBA. He's played. He's like one of the top ranked kids in the city. One of them. There's a lot. So, but he's definitely talked about a lot. So he plays NBA 2K. So being that I was in the Web3 space, and I feel like kids are not being educated on the direction the world is going. So it's kind of like what we talked about with the educational system. So my son plays NBA 2K for like 5 hours at a time, sometimes more. And I'm just like, damn, this dude is just sitting here playing video games. He could just stay on video games. So I plugged out his Xbox. I said, look, you could go on NBA 2K and create glitches. One time they banned his account, like, because he just like creating glitches for players, like looking up on YouTube and figuring out how to do glitches. They got something you do with the controller and you can do stuff, and your player got ultimate stupid skills, like you played. So now I unplugged it. I said, look, if you can do that, I need you to go in your room and look on YouTube and show me how to create an NFT and how to really create one, and then I'll plug in your Xbox. So now, plugged out his Xbox. I said, you know what? I'm gonna take a nap for 45 minutes. When I come out, show me what you're doing, what you did. So I went in my room, fell asleep. My alarm didn't go off for some reason. I don't know if I put it to AM by accident. I fell asleep for 90 minutes. So I got up. I'm like, yo, I know this dude. He in his room on his computer playing video games, because he does that. If the Xbox is on, he go to the computer and find like some shooting game on the computer. So I snuck to his room. And I'm like, so I jump in his door. I'm like, yo, what you doing? He jumped. He like, no, look, no. I created my MetaMask wallet. He showed me his computer. Yeah, I created my MetaMask wallet. This is my seed phrase, and this is that, and all that. And I swear to God, like he broke it all down. So I'm like, oh shoot, no, he really did it. So I was impressed. Proud dad moment. So I'm like, okay, so he's 14. So I'm like, all right. So I left him alone for about a month or so. Then I don't know what happened. So I got back in my zone, like, okay, you got to figure out some stuff. So I said, yo, you used to draw. Why don't you go draw something that you feel we can turn into an NFT? Just draw something. You used to draw. So he went in his room. I actually bought him a sketch pad and Apple Sketchpad. So he drew like just a random sketch, which we have and we're using as part of the project too. He drew like a random picture of 2 hands holding a basketball, and then one hand was just holding a real floppy sketch on because he didn't know how to use the pad that good yet. So but then the finger was on the back, with pointing on the basketball. So he drew that, and I was like, okay, damn, what could we do? Let's think about what we can do to turn this into an NFT. So after a while, probably 5-10 minutes or so, I said, you know what? Let's create a project called Winning Hands NFT and take. I said, you love basketball, and I said, let's take the hands and let's recreate all of the history of the NBA Finals and create the rings and go through various players. So each player that we showcase and tell a story about, we have their hands
Mm.
on the NFT. So with that being said, we had to research for probably about 8, 12 months of research of the full-on history, and he did this. He got all the rings, and he was learning. So I was teaching him how to build a business, like how to incorporate, how to
Mm.
trademark. So he started getting on calls with the IP attorneys and learning the aspects that as a 14-year-old, I didn't know how to build that business up and what it took and how to file for your corporation. Like, so he actually learned and understand that opening an account, seeing what the corporate kit is. And so he did all of that, and then we did it together, but he learned and did his part. And he pretty much, he's the one responsible for researching all of the history. So he
Mm.
has his own back office in Google. So he has a Google back office with thousands of items and information that he put together and compartmentalized, and it's all neatly organized where he can go through and just click and knowing how to structure all of that, which was dope. So we ended up doing that and creating the rings, and then he saw the process of hiring an in-house animator to create whatever ideas, and then we also tell the history. So you'll see history's tiles on
Mm.
Winning Hand NFT about the different things that happen. Like, some people, they don't know that the people know the Minneapolis Lakers and the Warriors, so they don't know that the Warriors were originally Philadelphia.
Mm.
So people don't know that. Like, some people don't. There's so much history so we did the history of the NBA Finals from the 1940s all the way to now with stories about it and different aspects. And as we started building out the company, we started seeing things evolve and different things. We tied in with Galaxis. Galaxis, they were behind Steve Aoki's project and Mike Tyson's project. So they're one of the technology providers that we're most likely gonna lock in with them, but we have a great relationship with them. And we just started embracing the space and learning more about the space. And we feel like it's great and we love it. Like, it's just for the history, to relive that history and things that people forgot about with the NBA. And then his love for basketball has just always been there. So
So on that note, thanks. But we're gonna get your son on and let
yeah,
him
yeah.
talk about
Let
his
him,
whole project.
let him talk about
This
how he did it, what he thinks about it.
so on our way out, how could they buy or rent an apartment from you? How could they get with your group? How could any inspirational people that want to join the real estate situation that you got going over there with hard course, how could they follow you, find you, or get some of your information shared with the people?
Yeah, yeah. Real estate wise, I'm with Compass in Union Square. So you can look up my name. Like, everything comes up, ironically, Terrence Harding, and you'll look up the hard cost team with Compass. But Winning Hands NFT, something that we did. If you go to winninghandsnft.com, we've been giving away our free MVP Insider token. So we decided to give away that Insider token free, kind of as the set off for people. And then anybody who owns that one that you can mint for free, we've been giving away prizes. We've been giving away Nike gift certificates, tickets to games, because there's a lot of different perks that comes with ownership of that MVP Insiders. And then the other collections, because we're gonna have multiple collections. There's gonna be the Sharpshooter collection, the International Players collection, the Legacy collection, which is all diamond. Like, you'll see if you can go on Twitter. We're on Twitter, Winning Hands NFT. We have the website, winninghandsnft.com. We're on Instagram. We're on Threads. So you'll be able to find us.
On that note, thank you, Terrence. I really appreciate it, man.
That was a fast 70 minutes. Felt like about 30.
Yeah, it's always fun when you having fun, man.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
This is
I'm doing
Beyond the
great.
Block. Yeah, I hope you guys get a chance to enjoy. Excuse me. I hope you guys got a chance to enjoy that interview. This is the site Winning Hands. So you get a chance. I'm gonna walk through it with you guys. 111 winning hands are ready to drop. So for all the newbies, like you gotta have a MetaMask wallet. So what happens is you come, you click the mint. It takes you to another page where this is where you get your NFT from Winning Hands. Look at that. And this whole concept came from his son. Isn't that crazy? See a few details. It's on the Ethereum blockchain. That's the basketball. Look at the rings. Really, really cool project. Get on the allow list. 103 spots left. Okay, let's see. Welcome to Winning Hands one-on-one style NFT project created by father and son duo. Come on now. Who don't want to support a father and son duo? Talent high school basketball playing artists have combined their compassion to bring you an exciting new way to celebrate and honor NBA championships, inspired by Sebastian. One thing we're gonna definitely get Sebastian on here, let him share his knowledge on creating the NFT and all of this stuff. And it started from video games. See, family, parents, video games is not always bad. Terrence used it in a productive way for him to get back to the video game to create this whole thing. Hit a team, okay. Okay. Yeah, founder. That's what's up. Stay in the game. For the newbies. Frequently asked questions is one of my favorite places always to go when I'll be checking things out. That is it. Winning Hands. I hope you enjoyed that interview. You know, earlier today, I was actually going through some topics. I definitely have to shout out today for Martin Luther King's Day. You know, earlier today, I was reporting on the news, and some of my, I didn't realize that my audio wasn't working. Like, so it is Martin Luther King Day. There's a bunch of events that's going on throughout today. If you in the town of Georgia where Martin Luther King is from, his church, they have a lot of things, a lot of awards and stuff they give out. I know. You know what? The memes. I just gotta laugh at this one. The memes for Martin Luther King and the party flyers for Martin Luther King is very, very disrespectfully funny. And Martin Luther King probably be mad that y'all got him on twerking for King Day. right, so let's see. That- You know what this is, right? Yeah, I know what this is, right? Yeah, I can read it. Friendlier. There's a lot of people who bought Trump NFTs, and you know he in sole support of this, especially with the confirmation of EFTs. We're gonna talk about that too. I was having a conversation with my boy BU Goldie, and we was talking about coins the other day, and uh, sometimes certain things like pass by my radar, and once I see them once or twice or three times, then I decide to DYOR. My new DYOR is this pushed. Check it out. This is not, let me tell y'all, this is not financial advice. All right. Okay, so look at this. Look at this. Huge traction. I don't know if you could read or just read the headlines. I'm just actually skimming through. This is kind of where I really wanted to get to right here. Decentralized trailblazer gains momentum. See? Look at this right here. Let me show you this right here. You know, a lot of people want to be invisible. So being able to use a decentralized marketplace, and you don't got a KYC. For all those who don't know, KYC is knowing your customer. So you got to show them your ID. You got to take a picture with your face, and then they dox you. But I've been seeing this lately pushed. Newly launched. Let's see what it is talking about. It's not available. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Oh, that's what I seen pushed on this actual site. But we're not gonna go there. Do your own research. This is something I'm interested in. It didn't tickle my fancy. No homo. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna save that. But let's move on. Nike dives into video game wearables, exploring NFT fashion for all those stylists. Y'all need to be going into the video games. Let me shout out to Ant Lava. Maybe you you thought about this. Nike been toying with this for a little minute now. In-game wearables, digital collectibles, beyond digital collectibles. You know the scam is always going to be around, right? Without question. There they go. But these scammers jumped on the bandwagon, taking advantage of all the hype surrounding NFTs. The NFT marketplace. OpenSea was targeted with scammers sending phishing emails offering exclusive partnerships between Nike. Okay. Yeah. I know for one thing, these companies don't email you. They don't reach out to you. They don't send a message to you. They don't DM you and say, "Hey, are you interested?" No. Like I said, phishing emails. This is my last go-to for news topics, things I like to talk about. One of my go-tos is Ash Crypto. He does a lot of analytics on crypto, on what's going on and the expectations. So I always look to him, go to. So you see it. Don't be scared. We here. It is Beyond the Blockchain. I'm your host, Abby Harris. Thank you for tuning in. Next week's guest, Manny Jackson. We will be talking about House Threads, another fashion brand that has digital and physical products. And they make one of ones repurposed clothing. Like the whole interview is really dope. Like the whole idea, the concept, how it's helping mental illness and how he's taking his whole campaign and taking it into the LA streets as something that we definitely talk about. This is Beyond the Blockchain Podcast. I'm your host, Abby Harris. See you next week. But throughout the week, I have different stuff going on, so just make sure you stay tuned in and locked in. Peace.
Our tracks on the beat.
Up in New York City, I am Abby Harris, your host today. What up, what up? Welcome to Beyond the Blockchain. I am your host, Abby Harris.